Hello and welcome to Vision Vibes, and today, we're breaking down the details of South Korean doctors' strike and government moves to suspend thousands of medical licenses. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up if you're ready to explore this multifaceted journey with us. Consider the feeling of waking up one day only to discover that a jaw-dropping 70% of your nation's budding doctors have handed in their resignations. Hard to believe, isn't it? This was not a scene from a dystopian movie, but the stark reality that gripped South Korea, sending shockwaves rippling through nation. The mass discharge of these aspiring medical professionals was not some impulsive or irrational act. It was a calculated and resolute response to the government's controversial decree to drastically ramp up the enrollment of medical students. The government's strategy was met with a hurricane of disapproval from the medical fraternity, who saw it as a blatant depreciation of their esteemed profession. The mass resignation, however, was not a mere expression of dissent. It reverberated a strong, distinct message to the decision-makers about the perceived undermining of the medical profession and the potential threats it posed to the quality of healthcare. The reasoning behind this drastic action was layered. The surge in medical was perceived as diluting the quality of medical care, depreciating the value of the profession, and escalating workloads to untenable levels. This controversial move was considered an affront to the sanctity profession and a threat to the very essence of healthcare quality. The impact was immediately felt, creating chaos that was beyond comprehension. Hospitals found themselves in a whirlwind of confusion, their normal operations hurled into pandemonium. Scheduled treatments were abruptly halted, surgeries were canceled without notice, and the healthcare system itself was strained beyond its limits. The once lively corridors were now filled with an eerie sense of anxiety and uncertainty. As hospitals were grappling to keep basic services functioning, the government's strategy was swiftly put under intense scrutiny. The government's initial response was one shock and disbelief, swiftly followed by emergency meetings and urgent reassessments of their policy. The government was left in a position where it had to defend a strategy that was under fire. They promised that the increase in student intake was aimed at improving healthcare in rural areas. But with the mass resignation of trainee doctors, the theoretical robustness of their well-intentioned plan was harshly tested against reality. The ensuing crisis questioned the very premise of the government's strategy, revealing the potential pitfalls of policymaking that doesn't involve dialogue with key stakeholders. In the face of an acute shortage of doctors, the South Korean government took a radical step. The government's reaction to the strike was prompt and firm. To counteract the wave of resignations and bring doctors back to the front lines of healthcare, they promised immunity to those who acknowledged a call to return to duty by a specified deadline. This offer served as a transparent proclamation: return to your responsibilities, and all will be forgiven. For those who opted to continue striking, the government was unyielding. Legal proceedings were launched against the doctors on strike, symbolizing a significant move that was more than a mere reprimand. It was a clear signal that the government was ready to exercise its power to keep the healthcare system operational. The authorities took it an extra step, lodging a criminal complaint against 5 doctors, accusing them of leading the strike, serving as a stern warning to potential protesters. Yet, amidst the escalating turmoil, the government initiated negotiations with the doctors' union, attempting to reconcile their differences while upholding their stance on the root issue that triggered the strike. Despite the massive protest and the burgeoning crisis in the healthcare sector, the government pledged to continue its plan to increase the admission of medical students, signaling its commitment to address long-term healthcare needs, even amid immediate chaos. Public reaction to the government's unyielding stance was mixed. While some applauded its commitment to long-term solutions, others condemned its seeming indifference to the immediate crisis. The prevailing sentiment was one of concern and anxiety, as hospitals struggled with severe staff shortages, resulting in canceled surgeries and treatments. Internationally, the crisis drew a wide range of reactions. Some praised the government's attempts to address future healthcare needs, while others criticized its handling of the immediate crisis. The strike had pushed the healthcare system into a state of disarray, necessitating emergency steps to cope with the situation. The government's assertive response, although failing to suppress the protest, did draw attention to the critical issue at hand. Despite the negotiations, the standoff between the government and the defiant doctors persisted, resulting in an unprecedented disruption to South Korea's healthcare system. With the government standing firm, the crisis intensified, leading to an extraordinary healthcare emergency. With thousands of doctors on strike, the impact was immediate and widespread. Hospitals, the lifeblood of any healthcare system, began to feel the strain. Stripped of their usual staffing levels, these institutions were left scrambling to make up for the severe shortage of medical professionals. Imagine this: you walk into a hospital, the very place you'd go for healing, only to find it teetering on the brink of a crisis. The usual hum of activity is replaced by a haunting silence. Waiting rooms are filled, not with the usual bustle but with a thrum of anxiety. This was the reality for many South Korean hospitals during the strike. The effects of the strike were not confined within the walls of the hospitals. Patient care, the very heart of the medical profession, suffered greatly. Treatments and surgeries, which are often scheduled months in advance, had to be postponed. The lack of available doctors meant that not all patients could receive the prompt care they needed. The gravity of the situation hit home when we consider the most vulnerable amongst us, the critically ill. For them, every second counts. And yet, during the strike, these precious seconds were slipping away, lost to a system in disarray. There were even reported deaths, a chilling reminder of the dire consequences when healthcare systems falter. And yet, it's not just about the immediate impact. The ripple effect of such a strike extends to the broader healthcare landscape. The strike posed questions about the sustainability of the healthcare system, about how it can withstand shocks and maintain the highest standards of patient care. The strike's ripple effect extended far beyond the protesting doctors, reaching every corner of the healthcare system. As the crisis unfolded, the public was caught in the crossfire. The strike of the doctors, a backbone of society, rippled across South Korea, stirring a maelstrom of emotions in the hearts of the people. The public, largely sympathetic to the plight of the medical graduates, expressed their support for the striking doctors. This was a strike not just for the doctors, but a broader fight for the sanctity and dignity of the medical profession. Yet there was also a palpable sense of fear and uncertainty. The strike, while noble in its intentions, had an unintended consequence. It raised significant public health concerns as hospitals were now operating with a skeletal staff, struggling to keep up with the demand. Treatments were postponed, surgeries canceled, and in some unfortunate instances, lives were lost. An invisible tension hung heavy in the air as the public grappled with the dual reality of supporting the strike while also feeling its adverse effects. The chaos in the healthcare system was undeniable. The government, in an attempt to keep the system from collapsing, implemented emergency measures. Medical students and retired doctors were called upon to fill in the gaps left by the striking doctors, a band-aid solution to a deepening wound. The public, while appreciating the effort, couldn't help but question the sustainability of such measures. This crisis served as a stark reminder of the delicate balance that holds our society together. The public, caught between their support for the doctors' cause and the immediate need for medical services, found themselves in a difficult position. The strike, initially perceived as a standoff between the doctors and the government, had now become a public issue, a crisis that touched every household. In a battle of wills between the doctors and the government, it was the public who bore the brunt of the crisis. The people, the ultimate stakeholders in this situation, were left to navigate the turbulent waters of this standoff, a testament to their resilience in the face of adversity. As the public found themselves caught in the crossfire of this historic standoff, a new player entered the fray: the media. The role of the media in shaping public opinion cannot be underestimated. News outlets, both local and international, were quick to pick up the story, each presenting their own take on the situation. The narrative was often split along the same lines as public opinion. Some media outlets focused on the plight of the doctors, highlighting the long hours, the low pay, and the lack of job security. These reports were sympathetic to the doctors' cause, presenting them as martyrs of a broken system. On the other hand, some media outlets portrayed the doctors as selfish, abandoning their posts and putting lives at risk during a global pandemic. These contrasting narratives fueled the public debate, further dividing the nation. In the midst of this media frenzy, the government found itself under the microscope. Every decision, every statement was analyzed, criticized, and debated upon. The government's initial response, calling upon medical students and retired doctors, was seen as a short-term solution to a long-term problem. The public began to question the government's handling of the situation. Was enough being done to address the doctors' concerns? Were the emergency measures sustainable? Was the government prioritizing public health or political gain? These questions loomed large as the crisis continued. The government, aware of the growing public discontent, attempted to regain control of the narrative. Press conferences were held, new proposals were presented, and promises were made. The government pledged to increase funding for the healthcare sector, to improve working conditions for doctors, and to address the issue of job security. Yet the public remained skeptical. The trust had been broken, and it would take more than promises to mend it. As the crisis unfolded, it became clear that the outcome of this standoff would have far-reaching implications, not only for the healthcare sector, but also for the political landscape. The government's handling of the crisis could potentially influence public opinion and sway future elections. The public, once mere spectators, were now key players in this unfolding drama, their voices amplified by the power of social media and the press. The media's influence and the government's role in this crisis underscored the complexity of the situation. It was no longer a simple standoff between doctors and the government. It had evolved into a multifaceted issue involving the public, the media, and the political arena. This was a crisis that would shape the future of South Korea, a testament to the resilience of its people in the face of adversity. As the public response to the doctors' strike unfolded, we witnessed a nation divided. On one hand, there were those who wholeheartedly supported the doctors, understanding the depth of their grievances. Public rallies were held in various cities, with citizens holding placards that read "Support our doctors" and "Healthcare is a right, not a privilege." The solidarity shown towards the medical graduates was palpable, echoing the sentiment that the strike was a fight for the sanctity and dignity of the medical profession. Yet there was also a significant portion of the public critical of the strike. The immediate impact on public health was a cause for concern. The sight of overcrowded hospitals, the cancellation of surgeries, and the postponement of treatments sparked outrage. Critics argued that while the doctors' concerns were valid, the method of protest was not. They saw the strike as an abdication of the Hippocratic Oath, a betrayal of the very people they had sworn to serve. Social media played a pivotal role in shaping public opinion. The strike, and the issues surrounding it, became a hot topic of discussion on various platforms. Opinions were shared, debates were held, and narratives were shaped. The digital space became a battleground, with hashtags like #DoctorsStrike and #HealthcareCrisis trending on Twitter. The power of social media in mobilizing public opinion was on full display. As the debate raged on, the public was left to grapple with the complexities of the situation. The crisis had morphed into a public issue that touched every household. The conflicting emotions, sympathy for the striking doctors, concern for the healthcare system, and fear for personal health, painted a picture of a nation in turmoil. As the standoff between the doctors and the government continued, the public found themselves caught in the crossfire, a testament to their resilience in the face of adversity. As the dust begins to settle, we're left to contemplate the implications of this unprecedented event. As we stand today, the healthcare crisis in South Korea remains a pressing concern. With thousands of doctors on strike and an alarming number of resignations, hospitals across the country are grappling with staff shortages, leading to postponed treatments and even deaths. The government's reaction, filing criminal complaints against strike leaders and issuing back-to-work orders, has only fueled the flames of this already volatile situation. This mass exodus of medical professionals has not only disrupted day-to-day hospital operations, but has also raised serious questions about the future of healthcare in South Korea. In the short term, the consequences are clear: a strained healthcare system struggling to meet the needs of its patients. But what about the long-term effects? One of the potential implications could be a shift in the perception of the medical profession. The government's plan to increase the intake of medical students sparked the strike, with fears about the potential impact on the prestige and pay of doctors. This unrest could deter potential students from pursuing a career in medicine, leading to a shortage of doctors in the future. The crisis also exposes the vulnerability of South Korea's healthcare system. It's clear now that a single policy decision can trigger a chain reaction that disrupts the entire system. This could lead to increased scrutiny of healthcare policies and perhaps a push for reforms to ensure a more resilient system. Moreover, the strike has brought public health concerns to the forefront. With treatments postponed and surgeries canceled, the health of South Korea's population is at risk. This could potentially lead to an increase in preventable deaths and diseases, further straining the healthcare system. There's also the question of trust. The public's faith in the healthcare system has been shaken, and rebuilding this trust will be a monumental task. The way the government and medical professionals navigate this crisis moving forward will be instrumental in restoring public confidence. As we look to the future, one thing is clear. The events of the past few months have forever changed the landscape of healthcare in South Korea. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the tumultuous landscape of South Korea's healthcare crisis. We've delved deep into the reasons underlying the doctors' strike, examined the government's hardline response, and explored the far-reaching implications of this unprecedented situation. This crisis has not only disrupted the healthcare system, but also has the potential to reshape it entirely. As we wait to see how the situation unfolds, we must remember that the future of healthcare in South Korea hangs in the balance. This is a story that will continue to evolve, and we promise to keep you updated with the latest developments. If you found this video insightful, we urge you to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth explorations like this. Don't forget to like the video to support our work, and please share this video with your friends and family so they too can gain a deeper understanding of this complex issue. Together we can stay informed and engaged in the issues that matter. Thank you for watching, and as always, we appreciate your support.